You skipped Yanagi, didn't you? How dare you? That whole banner went past and you let it go on by. Why? Because you were saving for Miyabi. And now you're probably thinking, I'm going to have a bricked Miyabi when she comes out. I don't have Yanagi. My teams are going to be in shambles. No. I got some good news for you. You're going to be okay. I'll explain why. The biggest reason why everybody keeps saying that Yanagi is a must for Miyabi teams is because of Miyabi's additional ability. It says when another character in your squad is a support character or shares the same faction, section 6, her hold on her basic attack, that damage increases by 60%. Now you don't want to miss that. It's a lot of damage, right? Also, when any squad member triggers disorder, who triggers disorder a lot? Yanagi. Hoshimi Miyabi obtains 2 points of Fallen Frost and a basic attack during the next, stance of that hold that she does. That attack will actually ignore 30% of the target's ice res. That is 5% more ice res than Light Cone's whole kit. So to put it simply, the reason why Yanagi is such a standout for her teams is because she kills 2 birds with 1 stone. She's the disorder queen, right? She does disorders a lot and very rapidly, right? And she's also happens to be on the same team as Miyabi. So it's just a perfect slot in for the disorders and for the actual additional ability to be granted to Miyabi. However, to explain why you won't need Yanagi in Miyabi's teams, I do kind of have to get into Miyabi's kit. When Miyabi deals frost damage, right? So any of her ice attacks, right? The enemy will be inflicted with what's called Ice Fire. Ice Fire will be on the enemy for a maximum of 20 seconds. Now, what does Ice Fire do? Well, Ice Fire just makes it so that Miyabi's Frost attribute anomaly buildup rate will actually be increased. So she'll actually pull off that circle faster and freeze the enemy, right? She'll get her Frost anomaly proc off. And that Ice Fire is actually increased, and it's based off of her crit rate. So 100% of her crit rate. So a maximum is 80% for Miyabi. So basically what Ice Fire is doing, it's increasing the buildup rate for Miyabi's Frost. Once that bar gets full, right, that circle gets full, boom, the enemy will be frozen. And once they're frozen, that's actually called Frostbite. And once Frostbite happens, Ice Fire is gone. So remember what that was? That was the ability that actually made Miyabi get that, fill that anomaly circle up faster. Ice Fire is no more once Frostbite begins. Then what happens is once Ice Fire is removed, Frostburn Break will be triggered. Okay? Now Frostburn Break is the big, word you see on the screen, right here. Frostburn, right? And she'll cause the enemy to enter the Frostburn state. Okay? Once that happens, right below Miyabi's name, or her face rather, you can see those little flames. Those are what's called Fallen Frost stacks. So she'll get those once every 10 seconds. Now here's the important part, okay? Once an enemy is in the Frostburn state, right? At this point, you swapped off with Miyabi. The entire party is going to have their anomaly buildup rate increased by 20%. So a nice little parting gift from Miyabi when she swaps off, right? However, Miyabi will not be able to apply the Ice Fire to the same enemy again. So remember, Ice Fire was the ability that actually made it so Miyabi could proc her anomaly buildup faster. That's now gone. That's gone. You've already fulfilled that goal, so there's no reason to have it anymore, right? Now it's time for your other teammates to do their burn, their shock, their assault, their anomaly attribute, right? And because you already have frost on the enemy, you're probably gonna just proc a disorder, right? Because something's already on them. So I say all this to say, Frostburn will end when Frostbite ends, and that ends in 10 seconds. Or when another character triggers an anomaly attribute. So you either sit there and wait 10 seconds to have the ability to put Ice Fire back on the enemy, or you trigger another person's anomaly attribute. And once again, shock, assault, burn, corruption, any anomaly attribute. But here's why it's not the end of the world without Yanagi. You don't just get those Fallen Frost stacks by doing disorders or anomaly attributes. You can also get it by doing Frostburn Break or by doing her ultimate, or even her X special. So there's multiple ways to get those stacks right below her face right there. And that'll actually give you those big charge attack damage shots that she does, right? You hold down the basic attack and it will do this big explosion from what we mentioned earlier in the beginning with the additional ability. So now that we actually know Miyabi's kit, I want to conquer two different subjects. We have the Anomaly side of Miyabi's teams, and we're going to have the support side of Miyabi's teams, because those are going to be the two ways that we get our additional ability, aside from someone on her own faction. I want to point out Piper. Piper's core skill, which I myself only have at level 5, by the way, physical anomaly buildup rate, actually gets increased for herself by 3.3%. Now you can see how low that number is in comparison to what Miyabi is doing for her whole squad. Miyabi is giving you a 20% anomaly buildup rate. And once again, that's not the damage. Don't get confused with that. This is how fast the bar fills, the anomaly bar. See that bar right there? Or the circle rather? Boom, that's full, right? And that's just like raw, you know, and look, it's full again. But like one hit away from pocketing assault, or two, right? Now, I want you to imagine that with a 20% boost in speed. So with that Miyabi buff, pretty much like any anomaly character is going to have a field day with that buff, because they already proc it so fast, and then you just go ahead and throw in like, you know, an anomaly character themselves, like Grace with the shock, or, you know, Jane with the assault procs, you know, whether you have like the spin available from her, you know, her core passive, or you just use Bernice and just like kind of just stand there or just blast away with the fire, or use her ult or your spins. You're just going to see very, very, very fast anomaly procs, and that's what Miyabi wants. So it makes perfect sense that she actually gives you that boost to your speed, in which you actually build your anomaly procs. And remember too, you don't actually need to have an anomaly character on the same team as Miyabi. Like, there is no additional ability requirement that wants an anomaly team. Remember, it's support and her own faction. So you don't have to have one. It's just convenient because that's what's going to work well with, you know, proccing disorder or the anomaly attributes, right? So you don't actually need to have an anomaly character on the team at all, really. You know, as long as you have somebody who can proc her additional ability, you know, section 6 or support character, I mean, you could have somebody else entirely. I mean, if you want to, you could, you know, if you actually did pull for him, you'd have lighter, you know, for the ice buff if you wanted to, right? You just got to make sure you fit that role of the additional ability. And I do want to mention, it doesn't necessarily always have to be an anomaly character in the first place. Soukaku here, she fits the roles. So 1 check for support character for Miyabi, 2 checks for, you know, the actual faction of section 6. So even someone like her, against the right kind of enemy weaknesses do matter. So when it comes to anomaly build-up rate as well. Now, if I do 3 strikes, right, 3 special attacks with Soukaku, let me give myself some energy. If we do 3 special attacks, look at this, 1, 2, 3. Now they all hit the enemy. It's a pretty big enemy, right? But you can see how much that actually filled up. Now imagine that once again with the 20% anomaly buildup rate from Miyabi. And what you can't forget either with Soukaku is that in 1.4, we'll actually be able to do our ult and have a reason to do it, you know, instead of just going to our DPS for it. This will actually give the whole team the buff that Soukaku normally gives, you know, normally with the 3 stacks. But you can also see her banner has the ice on it. That's because every single attack is going to be infused with ice after her ultimate. So even more of a chance to fill up that anomaly circle. And on top of that with Soukaku, you can't forget that Frost, Miyabi's special little ice version, and Ice, Soukaku, right? They don't cancel each other out. They're individual from each other. So Ice buildup after the Frostburn state will indeed proc Shatter, or, you know, the ice attribute. You don't have to worry about it like, oh, it's ice and ice, so it's not gonna do anything. No, it still will count. So even then, I mean, yeah, Soukaku, she's looking pretty darn good for, you know, a Miyabi support. So I really hope you got your Soukaku for free back in 1.0. And if you haven't, no worries, she'll be on the Miyabi banner as well, so you can get her there. But yeah, I mean, she's literally a section 6 character, so she'll fit the, you know, requirement for the additional ability from Miyabi. And if that wasn't enough, she's also a support class, so that will also fulfill the additional ability requirement for Miyabi. So 2 birds, 1 stone there. And if you want to go the extra mile, you could actually change this for Anomaly Mastery. And what that'll do is it'll make the Anomaly buildup actually go a little bit faster, because you have that whole piece being dedicated to Anomaly, right? And it doesn't seem like it's too much of a stretch, because your Soukaku build is pretty much mostly just a bunch of attack, unless it's DPS Soukaku, that's a different story. But it's mostly just attack for the most part, so changing one thing won't really, you know, hinder it too much, as long as your set is still the same. So I can actually show that too. So now we have our Disk Drive 4 on Anomaly Mastery. Let's see it. 1, 2, oh yeah, get that. Look at that, almost full just from that. So like I said, when you have the Miyabi 20% Anomaly build-up rate boost, you may not even need to switch to Anomaly Mastery. But if you want to, you can see how quickly she almost got it full. You know, pair that with her ultimate being in play now. Oh, and also just like the slam too, right? Can't forget about that either. Like I said, you won't have the energy. Obviously, we have unlimited here in the training mode, but it'll be a thing to test out. But it definitely can work, because you see shatters all the time with Soukaku, and you see her freezing enemies a lot. So it is very much an option, and it takes up a lot of roles actually. You have the Anomaly role and you have the support role as well. So I don't know, man. I think I like Soukaku a lot for Miyabi, if that's what you're left with. I think Soukaku really just leaves a lot of leeway for other teammates, right? If you're gonna put her on your team with Miyabi, that third character, it could be lighter if you have them. It could be light cone. You know what I mean? So you can just kind of give yourself more options by choosing Soukaku on your team. And secondly, I would say like the 2 big winners of supports for Miyabi is going to be Soukaku and Nicole. The reason why I say Nicole specifically is because, number 1, in her core passive, she just has a automatic universal defense shred. Like, I mean, who doesn't want defense down, you know? That's great. So only for 3 seconds, 3.5 seconds, but that's still very good. And once again, the reboot will have the actual ult in play now. So you'll have that energy being given to your, oh, down here actually. Yes, you'll have energy being given to your teammates, and you'll have even a more of a reason to pop this, which will give you crowd control, right? And that'll be very nice, especially for Miyabi. Big radius for Miyabi, so I wouldn't worry too much about the crowd control, but it is nice to have either way. So, and if you manage to get the Mindscape Cinemas for Nicole, just know that M6 gives the entire squad, I believe it's, yes, 15 crit rate. So I mean, you can't go wrong with that, especially from Miyabi. No, you literally want more crit rate. You want 80% crit rate to max out the passive she has with Ice Fire. 50% crit rate would be great. So if you do have that, that'd be perfect for her as well. Those are the 2 big winners though. I think Soukaku and Nicole. So Nicole, honestly, great. I know people always look at Nicole as the GUN teammate, the GUN team. But no, she really is great. If you have her Mindscape Cinemas, that's 15% crit rate from Miyabi. That's 1. Number 2, you have Defense Shred. Everyone loves Defense Shred. Can't go wrong with that. Her ultimate will give the team energy. And her W engine. It actually gives the entire squad more damage against the target by 24%. So, like I said, man, like the supports are great. They're great. They're genuinely great. And I said it twice, I'll say it again. The 2 biggest winners from Miyabi is Soukaku and Nicole. Here's where things kind of get a little bit more generic. Lucina di Montefio. Lucy is pretty much just the 600 attack, at least with my build. The attack bonus from Miyabi. And that's pretty much it, besides just being a support character to fulfill her additional ability. Besides that, you're not really getting too much. With Lucy's ult, I believe it's also energy related. Yes, it is. This is if you have their own W engines, by the way. Nicole, Lucy, Soukaku, right? Those are all actually pretty useful for the team, not just them. for the team. Lucy, you're not getting too much out of her, just the support role and the fact that she's a, you know, attack buffer. So pretty generic there. Same thing goes for Rina as well. You're pretty much just getting the pin ratio buff from Rina. As a matter of fact, you could actually put the pin ratio on disk drive number 5 for Miyabi. You're just looking at pin ratio there. For Rina, that's pretty much it. Just the support role to fulfill the additional ability and the pin ratio. But besides that, not really much going on there for your supporters.
The Game Awards just finished premiering and they actually showed off ASTRAL in the flesh. So there you go. Last but not least, ASTRAL. You could save for her. Don't go too crazy on Miyabi's banner because we pretty much know this character with this set is going to be a support for the most part. And this character is actually going to be most likely a better slot in for her teams. So I feel like they kind of put that support option in there for Miyabi on purpose. And this might be the reason why. She literally sings. As we know, she's a famous singer. She's probably the most famous person in New Eridu. And it kind of reminds me of Robin from Honkai Star Rail. So I was thinking maybe some kind of like super singing buff where as long as the song plays, she's buffing you or something like that, you know? So I'd hold off a little bit. I wouldn't go too crazy on Miyabi's banner and see what's up with 1.5. There was also another character too, but I literally have no clue about her. So
most likely, be patient. If you didn't pull Yanagi or you didn't like Yanagi, but her design was too basic or something, hey, you know, you'll probably have a better option down the line. So genuinely, I would just wait on it. Farm this set and you'll get this one as you go, but just keep these. Keep them. Don't get rid of them. Keep every single one. You don't know what you're going to be looking for. So keep this set as you farm the branch and blade song, and then you'll go from there. So all in all, I would honestly just wrap it up to, in my opinion, I like Soukaku a lot, and I would probably just throw her in there just so I can play other characters like Lighter in my teams, or Caesar, you know. Caesar hasn't really had the best opportunity to be in Miyabi teams. That's unfortunate. You know, 1,000 attack would be great. But yeah, I mean, with Soukaku, you can do that. There you go. She'll do that for you. And of course, like I said, with Yanagi, but we're not talking about Yanagi here. We're imagining we don't have Yanagi. Your teammates are going to consist of the people of the following, right? And then, like I said, if you don't have Yanagi, I'm a big advocate for Soukaku, as you can probably tell by now. Any of the Anomaly characters will work pretty fine. More so leaning towards Bernice, like in the top spot there. Besides Yanagi, of course. Jane, a little questionable, but definitely can work, you know. The supporters, of course, you know, every single one of them can work there. And there is Seth, but Seth is not, it's not the same kind of synergy like he is with Jane Doe or Bernice or someone like that. Miyabi is a different kind of Anomaly character. So I wouldn't really see too much synergy with this, but, you know, if it is an option that you have, I guess if it's all you have, but I wouldn't go to that one. Secondly, I would go to Lycone as a stun character. I don't know how Miyabi is going to perform with stunners. I haven't really gave it much thought, to be honest. You know, besides Lighter. But yeah, I don't know. Lycone is essentially just somebody who puts the ice res down of enemies. And like I mentioned earlier, Miyabi in her additional ability pretty much has his whole man's kit in her additional ability. So, you know, besides the stunning part. But stunning isn't the most important thing for Miyabi. So I wouldn't really jump to it, you know. If anybody, I would probably go with Lighter, because it's just kind of simple and very easy to pull off. And then that's pretty much it for the Miyabi teammates. I don't really see the other stunners really having too much of a significance with her, especially because the team building is already so restrictive in itself. But I mean, like I said, if you run Soukaku, 2 birds, 1 stone, that is like essentially what your Yanagi is. That's what I want to say. Lastly, the Yanagi that you don't have is Soukaku. Like, if you don't have Yanagi, your Soukaku is the next best thing, because it's not like, you know, pulling off disorders and stuff like that. But in terms of killing 2 birds, 1 stone, Soukaku is your Yanagi. So if you have her and you don't have Yanagi, I'm a big advocate for her. But yeah, that'll be all for me. I hope you guys have the best of luck on your Miyabi pulls. Hope you get your earlies, early W engines, I mean, some of you guys have been saving ever since day one, so maybe you're going for M6, you know, good luck on that. M2 even. But you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. If you don't have Yanagi, it's not the end of the world. She's just a luxury. It's convenient. But by no means is it a need. I'm sure Miyabi will be just fine. And then, with my experience, the game hasn't been too daunting as of yet. But then again, you know, I don't pull any W engines, therefore I have the characters. I don't have a single limited S rank W engine at all on my account. And I might keep it that way, unless Miyabi makes me want to get it. But anyways, that'll be all for me, and I will catch you guys in the next one.